Philippe Deson, Montaigne, A Life. It was then that an epidemic of plague struck the region. Montaigne testifies, both inside and outside my house I was greeted by a plague of the utmost virulence. Was this the same epidemic that had raged in Bordeaux the preceding year and that had now reached Montaigne's lands? Scholarly opinion is divided on this point. In any case, the unsanitary conditions of the siege of Castellon and the high density of soldiers in the region allowed the plague to spread like wildfire. The preceding summer Montaigne has fled Bordeaux to hole up in his house. Now his chateau itself was no longer the safe refuge to which he had retired after handing his powers over to Bordeaux's rats. The epidemic that was ravaging his region was now becoming an immediate threat to him. Moreover, his land was no longer being cultivated, and he did not have sufficient income to maintain his usual way of life. Montaigne decided to escape from his chateau. Frightened by the contagion, he hastily put a few possessions in a cart and departed his estate with his wife and a few servants. I had an absurd situation to put up with. The sight of my house was frightful to me. All that was in it was unguarded and abandoned to anyone who wanted it. I, who am so hospitable, had a great deal of trouble finding a retreat for my family astray, a source of fear to their friends and themselves, and of horror when they sought to settle, having to shift their abode as soon as one of the group began to feel pain in the end of his finger. From August 1586 to February 15, 1587, Montaigne wandered the highways with his family, serving for 6 months of misery as guide to this caravan. The danger was too great to go south, and it is likely that Montaigne and his family headed for Poitou. Great poverty prevailed in the kingdom. Pierre del Stowel writes about the indigence in which he found France at that time. Almost all over France, the poor in the countryside, dying of hunger, went to the field in groups to cut kernels of wheat and eat them on the spot, so desperate was their hunger. Montaigne was then at an important turning point in his life. He had suddenly become a gentleman vagabond, dependent on his acquaintances for lodging. As things stand, I live more than half by others' favor, which is a harsh obligation. I do not want to owe my safety either to the kindness and benignity of the greats, who approve of my obedience to the laws and my independence, or to the affable ways of my predecessors and myself. Abandoned by those close to him and by his political acquaintances, Montaigne experienced some of the darkest moments of his life. He had to rely on his friends' kindness and his neighbors' protection. 1,000 different kinds of troubles assailed me in a single file. I would have suffered them more cheerfully in a single pile. I was already considering to whom among my friends I could commit a needy and unfortunate old age. After letting my eyes wander over, I found myself stripped to my shirt,